part's warm, that's the part they don't tell you. When the inspirational story skips the part where the cold fell through right into your chest before you ever took the first real step. Before the momentum, before the fire, before the depth. I've started cold more times than I can count, or one to name. Cold hands, cold room, cold voice, cold everything, and still came to the edge of what I was attempting, and attempted it in the chill of not believing yet, and committed. Doesn't matter if you're trembling, start. Doesn't matter if it's dark, ignite. Not because the warmth is guaranteed, but because the cold is not a reason not to be. Cold ignition, you don't need to feel the fire first. Cold ignition, start inside the freeze and the thirst. The warmth comes after, not before, that's the deal. You don't get to wait until the moment feels real. Cold ignition, shaking hands still reach. Cold ignition, the cold is not a breach, and the planet is a planet it's always been. Cold ignition, start before the warmth begins. I remember all the times I waited for the feeling, the right conditions, the right sign, the stars aligning, ceiling. But the warmth I was waiting for was never going to arrive until I started cold and let the motion keep me alive. Because momentum generates a heat that waiting never does, and the fire that you feel mid-run is not the same as the one that was sitting comfortable somewhere in the abstract of desire. Cold ignition is the match, the running is the fire. Colder than I've ever been, and starting anyway. Not because I'm fearless, just because I choose to say that the temperature of now is not the temperature of all, and the warmth is waiting for me on the other side of this wall. Cold ignition, you don't need to feel the fire first. Cold ignition, start inside the freeze and the thirst. The warmth comes after, not before, that's the truth. You don't get to wait for perfect, you get to choose. Cold ignition, uncertain hands still move. Cold ignition, the cold is just the groove before the record plays, before the signal's clear. Cold ignition, start, the warmth will appear. Version of yourself that waited for the sign, but still inside the cold and drew a perfect waiting line between now and ready, between here and enough. The cold was never going to lift, that's the bluff. Ready is a myth that keeps you standing in the freeze. The only way to warm the air is to start moving through the breeze. Cold ignition isn't reckless, just the only way alive. You start cold, you start scared, and then you start to grind. Cold ignition, and I'm running through the eyes. Cold ignition, I won't think about it twice. The warmth is in the motion, and the motion starts with me. Now with the feeling of being ready, just a choice to be. Cold ignition, look at everything I built, starting cold, starting shaking, starting guilty, starting filled with every doubt, and doing it regardless of the There's a version of myself that lives at a different pace, that moves through all the crowded rooms without taking up the space. She got very good at finishing act grace. I learned it as a skill to minimize the streamline, to apologize for existing in a too straight line, to take the edges off myself so nothing caught the air, to be present without presence, to be somewhere without there. But ghost speed has a cost. You start to disappear. Even to yourself you start to lose the feel of here. The weight of your own body, the sound of your own name. Ghost speed was survival, but survival and living aren't the same. Ghost speed, I used to be so good at not being seen. Ghost speed, the art of vanishing in between every room, every moment, every space that I was in. Ghost speed, I made myself so thin, but thin is not invincible, thin is not the plan. Ghost speed, I'm reclaiming all the space I can. No more making myself smaller than the room requires. Ghost speed, I am setting me on fire. The irony of taking up less room to keep the pieces that you disappear so slowly that you don't feel the decrease, until one day you go to find yourself inside your chest and realize the ghost speed you mastered is dispossessed you of the very thing you were trying to protect, the self you were protecting by erasing your effect on every space and person, by being careful not to press too hard against the surface. All that can just left you less. Slow down from the ghost, let the edges come back, let the outline of the person I've been filling to black. From the gray that I became in all the years of being careful. Slow down from the ghost and let myself be colorful. Ghost speed, I'm moving into something more. Ghost speed, I remember what I was before. The lessons of the making small, the invisible default. Ghost speed, I'm done and it's not my fault that I learned it to survive the years. Ghost speed, but the ghost speed disappears when I choose to take the space that I was always meant to fill. Ghost speed, and I'm standing somewhere real, to the version of you moving at ghost speed right now. You were never meant to be a ghost. You were never the costume. You are not a burden for existing at full weight. Ghost speed was survival. You don't have to live there. Ghost speed, I'm done, I'm slowing down to real. Ghost speed, I'm letting myself occupy and feel every room I walk into, every moment that I'm in. Ghost speed, no more making myself thin. Ghost speed, I am putting myself back at the joint between invisible and seen, between the echo and the voice. And I am making noise. Ghost speed, I am making space. Ghost speed, I am making it clear I was always meant to be more solid than a ghost. I am here, I am here, I am here. Slowing down, filling in, taking space, taking up. No more ghosts, no more thin. I am here, and I am enough. Nobody talks about the way that small things add up slow, how 1,000 minor moments build a pressure you don't know. Has been building to one Tuesday, nothing special afternoon. Something snaps that should have snapped 100 incidents too soon. And just standing in the rubble of a thing that looked okay on the surface in the photos to the people far away, but up close it was 1,000 small and unremarkable incisions that accumulated past the point of any clean decision. One cut's barely registers, you push it to the side. Two cuts, you explain away, you maintain the pride, but somewhere in the hundreds you've forgotten that you're bleeding, and the ground beneath you're standing is the thing you've been conceding. 1,000 cuts, and I finally feel them all. 1,000 cuts is why I had to fall. Not the single devastating blow that anyone could name. 1,000 cuts, the slow and quiet flame that burned me from the edges, working inward to the core. 1,000 cuts, but I see it now, I see what I was for all along. Not the wounding, but the waking that it takes. 1,000 cuts, and now I see what breaks. There's a kind of self-awareness that can only come from loss when the accumulated damage finally names its cost, and you sit inside the honest reckoning of how you let the small things keep on cutting while you manage to forget that small things aren't small and they keep happening the same. When the pattern is the problem and the 1,000 cuts have a name, and the name is I was there and I refused to leave long after everything was telling me to please just breathe. Feel the recognition, this is where it started. Every tiny moment that I half-heartedly parted with the piece of my integrity to keep the peace. 1,000 cuts, and I am choosing my release. 1,000 cuts, and I finally feel them all. 1,000 cuts, I let myself acknowledge the fall. Not the shame, but with the clarity of what I now know. 1,000 cuts, they tell you where you cannot go. Back to what to leave behind, what cost too much to bear. 1,000 cuts, the most honest education there. I forgive myself for every cut I didn't name, for every time I normalize the blame, for treating 1,000 cut damage as the cost of existing. I wasn't overreacting, I was just too strong for my own good, holding on past the signal. 1,000 cuts was trying to be the signal. Now I hear it, finally. I hear it clear. I felt them and I learned. 1,000 cuts, I see the lesson that I earned. 1,000 cuts, I say it clear and loud so the next version of myself can recognize the feel. 1,000 cuts, I honor every one of them today. 1,000 cuts, and then I walk away from everything that cost me piece by piece. Every cut, a lesson, every wound, a door. 1,000 cuts lay here, and I don't take them anymore. I've been in the kind of dark where you stop trusting your own voice, where every thought feels like a trap and silence feels like the only choice. The kind of dark that tells you that nobody would notice and writes your disappearance into something quiet and hopeless. But something in me fired off a last and stubborn signal. signal, not a roar, more like a whisper at a frequency subliminal that cut through all the static and the weight of not enough and said, I'm here, I'm still here, even buried under this stuff. Small and red, against the why of everything that's wrong. Small and red, the signals don't have to be strong, they just have to carry far enough for someone else to see, and sometimes that someone else is only me. Signal flare, I set it up from where I was. Signal flare, not because I thought it would, because change everything. I set it up because I still had breath. Signal flare, the space between me and my death was filled with something stubborn and irrational and bright. Signal flare, I refused to disappear tonight, even when the reason felt impossible to name. Signal flare, and I'm still in the game. I wanna talk about the ones who sent the signal flares to me, the pinpoints of orange light I caught when I could barely see, a voice, a hand, a sentence, something small and burning true that said, I see you out there and I'm coming through to you. We don't talk enough about the signals we receive, the tiny burning moments that remind us to believe that the darkest edges, even when you cannot find the wall, and a signal flare from someone else can change the arc of all. Feel the heat against the darkness, someone's still alive. Feel the pulse of something glowing, we were built to survive, and the signal that you sent tonight might reach the one who's given up on thinking that there's anyone. Signal flare, I set it up for you tonight. Signal flare, a piece of amber in the white, not because I have it all together and I'm fine. Signal flare, send it from the same fault line. We're all firing into darkness, hoping someone sees. Signal flare, I see you and you see me, even when the reason feels impossible to name. Signal flare, we're still inside the game. I don't know your particular dark, I just know the shape of losing sight of your own spark. So this is my signal, burning amber into white. I see you out there, and you're worth the fight. Decisions made at noon that I can justify at night. I stood on this fault line longer than I'd like to say, feeling the vibration underneath me every day, like something building pressure that the surface can't contain. And the only thing I'm sure of is that things won't stay the same. Feel the shift, the ground is moving under everything I've known. Feel the split between the seeds that I have sown, and the harvest coming fault lines visible and nothing felt quite right. The fault line is the honest part, the real topography of a life that's been through pressure without losing all of me. And the places where the ground is shifted carry something true. A fault line is the record of the pressure I came through. Let's let it show the depth below. Let the fracture finally let the pressure go. I am not the surface, I am everything beneath. And the fault line is the moment that I find relief. Fault line, I'm not hiding anymore. Fault line, I'm letting you see the core. Every crack I tried to spackle over couldn't hold the pressure of a life that just refused to be controlled. Fault line, this is where the real begins. Fault line, right here in the space between all the versions of myself I tried to be and who I am. Fault line, and I'm finally on solid land. The earth is not ashamed of its fault lines. They're the proof of every force that shaped the world. And I am not ashamed of mine. They're the proof of every weight that shaped the girl who stands here now, cracked and certain. Who stands here now, split and sure. The fault line isn't what I'm hiding. The fault line is the opening door. Fault line, and I step across the gap. Fault line, no going back to the map of who I was before the pressure bound the seam. Fault line, I am everything the break exposed. All the pressure found its exit, all the tension found release. Fault line, I'm stepping into peace. Split open, still standing, cracked through, still here. Fault line led me somewhere I was always meant to be. Some promises you write in ink, and some you write in marrow. Some vows are wide as open sky, and some run deep and narrow. Right down to the center of the thing you can't delete. The place where what you swore becomes your heartbeat. I made one in the dark, no audience, no stage, just me in the interior of a very specific rage that turned into something steadier, a current more than flame. And I carved it where the cold could never reach, and staked my claim. You can take the surface things, the comfort and the ease. You can take the parts of me that bend in any breeze. But there's something underneath that you will never reach. Something harder than the doubt, something past the breach. I know it to myself. I know it's not sitting on a shelf. This is not a promise made for anyone to hear. I know it's what keeps me here when the reasons all run out and the feelings long gone cold. I know this what I carry when I'm getting old. Before my time, before my time. I know the one line I won't cross is this line. I've broken softer promises we all have. Let's be real, the ones who making comfort when the breaking doesn't feel like it cost you something vital, something low bearing and true. But the iron oath is different. It's the promise forced from you at your lowest, at your most stripped, at your you most afraid? At the moment when you chose to stay instead of to evade the responsibility of being someone who survives. The iron oath is what you swear when you choose to stay alive. Feel it in the chest, it doesn't bend, it was forged in the fire. It doesn't end, every test that tries to melt it makes it more defined. This is not a maybe, this is how I'm designed. Iron oath, I made it to myself. Iron oath, nobody else. This is not a vote for any audience or crowd. Iron oath, I made it low, not loud. When the fanfare all died down and the supporters disappeared, iron oath is what remained when everything I feared came true, came real, and still I stood in line. Iron oath, the one line I will not cross is this line. What do you do on the day you don't believe in yourself? When the iron oath feels like something taken off a shelf and dusted off just to get through the hour. When you've forgotten the feeling of your own power. You hold the oath, not the feeling. You hold the vow, not the faith. You hold the commitment to the action, even when the action feels like weight. Iron oath, I hold it on the hardest days. Iron oath, it doesn't care about the haze. I'm down of fear of feeling like it isn't worth it anymore. Iron oath, this is what the oath is for. The iron oath is everything I lean on now. Iron oath, the one line, the single line that I refuse to cross is this line. I swore it, I mean it, I live it. Iron oath, I swore it, I keep it through every I can't. I swore it, I keep it. Iron oath stands. There's a light that comes after the primary source goes out. A secondary glow that lives in what the darkness is about. Not the brilliant and immediate, not the first and obvious fire, but the lingering illumination of the thing that held it higher. I've been that phosphor light in rooms that lost their primary, the last one glowing when the rest went down involuntarily. And I used to think that man I was the secondary kind of phosphor light. I lost the source, that's the truth I had to find. After everything goes dark, I'm still giving off a glow, not because I'm brighter, but because I'm built to go beyond the moment of the burning, beyond the peak of bright into the long and patient burn of phosphor light. Phosphor light, I glow after the fire goes. Phosphor light, in the aftermath I show that the energy absorbed can be given back in time. Phosphor light, the secondary shine is not the lesser kind, it's the kind that lasts the night. Phosphor light, the slow and certain light. Long after the dramatic has dissolved away to dark. Phosphor light, I'm still leaving my mark. I absorbed a lot of years before I understood the purpose of taking in the light and letting it move beneath the surface to the outer world goes dark and then releasing it slow as everything I learned finally gets to show. I am every person who has ever held a light from me, every conversation that became a part of my chemistry, every After a dramatic peaks have faded into black, phosphor lights, and I am giving it back to every source of light that shone on me in the years when I couldn't see. You are in me, you are in the glow, you are in the phosphor that I show. To every dark room that I enter now, you are the why of the how I glow, how I persist, how I remain. Phosphor light, it's never really alone, because it carries every light it's ever known. Phosphor light, I am glowing through the ones who are sitting in the dark after the obvious runs out of shine. Phosphor light, I am here and I will stay till the dark is done, till the morning finds its way. Every light I've absorbed becomes a gift I give. Phosphor light, this is how I live. Not the brightest, not the first, not the loudest in the room. Phosphor light, glowing through the gloom, still glowing long after the source went dark. Phosphor light, that's what I am. Phosphor light, right here in the dark. I have a scar that faces forward, that's the part they don't explain. When they tell you that the healing happens and you won't feel the same level of the pain, they don't tell you that the mark remains oriented in the direction of whoever forward faces. And I face forward, I have always faced into the next, even when the last thing left me flattened and perplexed. Even when the forward felt like walking into walls, I faced the direction of the not get through the halls. One more step, the scar can come. One more mile, let the mark become part of the forward-facing record of a life that moved through every impact, every cost, every knife. Forward scar, it shows which way I go. Forward scar, the mark of all I know about continuing beyond the thing that should have stopped me there. Forward scar, the proof that I fought fair and unfair and at angles and when nothing made sense. Forward scar, the honest evidence that I was moving when the impact found me in the frame. Forward scar, and I would do it all the same. People want the clean version, the arc that makes narrative sense, the wound that taught a lesson that was proportionate and hence easy to absorb, the growth that corresponds to loss, but real life doesn't calculate the point to point across. The scar terrain, it's messier, it doesn't follow through. From wound to wisdom in a line the way the stories do. My forward scar is branches, has a texture, has a spread, but all of it is pointing in the same direction ahead. Forward, always forward, through the scar, through the mess. Forward, always forward, I will not regress into the safe and backward facing shelter of the known. Forward, always forward, even when I'm on my own. Scar, wear it on the leading edge. Forward scar, it's become my pledge that I was here, that I was moving, that I did not stay. Forward scar, the record of the day chose to keep on going when the going had a cost. Forward scar, the proof of all I almost lost and didn't move through, kept and carried into more. Forward scar, this is what the scar is for. If you could see the shape of everything I've moved through, laid out flat against the white of all I didn't know was true, you would see the forward in the angle of the scar. And every time and it points toward you. Forward sky. I learned it going toward the fire. Forward sky. The record of the higher ground I reach by moving through the things that try to stop me there. Forward sky. The proof that I fought there. Forward sky. This is what I celebrate. Not the wound, not the impact, but the continuing ahead. Forward sky. I wear it proud, be going forward instead. Forward sky. I move through all, every lasting possible and difficult and real. Forward sky. This is how I feel. Alive, intact, marked and moving still. Some things don't scar over, they just learn to coexist with the skin around them, a persistent aching gist of something that still matters, still unfinished, still alive. The kind of hurt that doesn't need to heal to let you thrive. I spent years apologizing for the open of it, for not being further along, for not having closed it yet. But the one that stays open is the one that still has feeling, and feeling is the opposite of the comfortable concealing. Let it stay, don't rush the close. Let it teach you what it knows about the thing you loved enough to hurt this way, about the life you're still deciding to stay. Open wounds, it doesn't mean I'm broken. Open wound, some things stay open, not because I'm failing at the healing. Open wound, because it stays with feeling, and I'd rather feel than live inside the numb. Open wound, I'd rather be in the ongoing than done with the caring, with the rest, with the part of me that loves. Open wound, and I'm not giving up. There's a particular courage in refusing the scar tissue, the protective covering that says I'm done, no more issue. That's one way to survive it, but it's not the only way. I choose the version where the feeling stays accessible, where the grief and the gratitude remain expressible, where I carry what I've loved and lost without the armor of resolve, and let the open wound be part of the ongoing evolve. Because the wound is not the weakness, it's the proof of the reach, proof that I extended past the comfortable, past the beach of the safe and the familiar and the armored and the fine. Open wound is just a different kind of design. Open wounds, it doesn't mean I'm lost. Open wounds, I know the ongoing cost of carrying the open thing instead of sealing it shut. Open wounds, I choose to keep the gut level honesty of what it means to still be touched. Open wounds, I haven't loved too much, I've loved the amount that makes a human being real. Open wound, and I still know how to feel. Somewhere between the wound and the scar is where I live, in the ongoing conversation of receive and give, in the place that hasn't calcified, that hasn't gone to stone. The wound means it mattered, the open means it still does. And mattering is everything love ever was. Open wound, I'm carrying it forward into light. It's not a flaw, it's alright to feel the full dimension of a life that's actually lived. everything converges, where every fear and every hope and every dream submerges into one impossible moment, all at once right now. And the only path through it is finding out somehow that the pressure that you feel is not a sign that you're too small. It's the evidence that something really matters after all. Only the things worth having have the weight to make you shake. Pressure point is not the breaking, it's the being awake. Concentrate it, let it build, let it fill the space until it becomes a single point, sharp enough to reanoint everything I thought I'd lost, everything worth paying cost. Pressure point, I feel it in my chest. Pressure point, this is the final test, not the kind of test you pass or fail and walk away, the kind of test that turns you into what you want today. Pressure point, I'm not collapsing under it. Pressure point, I'm finding what I made of it in. All this weight converging to a single moment clear. Pressure point just means that something real is here. I've been under pressure since before I had the words for it. The kind that sits between your shoulder blades and never quits. The kind that makes you second guess the air inside your lungs, like even breathing needed to be checked against the runs of everyone who seemed to hold it all together fine, who never showed the seams and cracks beneath the clean design. But I've learned enough to know that seams and cracks are not the shame, they're just the evidence of pressure meeting someone with the name. Let it come, I'm not running anymore, let it hit. I've taken hits before, this is not the pressure that will fold me at the joint. This is the pressure meeting its own point. Pressure point, I feel it in my chest. Pressure point, I welcome every test, not the kind of test you pass or fail and walk away, the kind of test that shows you what you carry every day. Pressure point, I'm not crushed beneath the weight. Pressure point, I'm turning pressure into fate, all this force converging to a single blazing clear. Pressure point just means that something real is here. Comfortable dark, it needs the weight of everything to find its spark. And I have felt the weight, God, I have felt the weight, pressing me towards something I can't see yet, something great. Not perfect, never perfect, just more honestly alive, more aware of what I'm made of and more willing to survive into the next version, into the next wave. Pressure point is just the entrance to the brave. Pressure point, I feel it and I breathe. Pressure point, it doesn't make me leave. This is where the real ones choose to stay and face the fire. This is where the pressure meets the height of my desire. Pressure point, I'm standing in the center of it all. Pressure point, the place where I refuse to fall. All this weight converging to a single blazing truth. Pressure point is where I finally found my proof. So I wouldn't let them show. Jaw clenched tight around the words I wasn't ready to let go. The kind of pain you hold between your back teeth in the night. The kind of truth you carry without bringing into light. I've got the marks of every sentence that I swallowed whole. Every moment I performed okay when I was not control of not the ache behind my eye. But I held it, and I held it, and I held on to the lie. But holding gets expensive at a certain kind of cost. You start forgetting what you're holding and what you've already lost. To the performance of the surface, to the rigid and the fine. And the jaw gets tired of the weight it carries all the time. Teeth marks, I'm done biting this down. Teeth marks, I'm done swallowing the sound of everything I needed to say out loud before it killed me. Teeth marks, the evidence that I stayed filled with more than I could carry, and I carried it too long. Teeth marks, but the jaw that bit is strong, and the voice behind the clenching has been waiting for the air. Teeth marks, I'm releasing it right here. There's a particular relief when you stop performing fine, when you let the real expression cross the face instead of the designed version, the approved one, the acceptable and clean. And you show someone the actual texture of your in-between. I'm not made of broken edges, I'm not made of only scars, but I've been performing wholeness from a place that's full of jars, full of sealed and stopper feelings, full of bite-sized held back true. And I'm cracking all of them open because I'm done with the subdued. Let it come, the jaw unclench at last. Let the held things finally come to pass. Through the voice that's been compressed behind the hold, every bitten down and swallowed story told. Teeth marks, I'm done biting this down. Teeth marks, I'm letting out the sound of everything I should have let myself release before. came for, just with less of what you fear. The threshold isn't the barrier, it's the proof that you arrived at the very edge of everything you've worked toward and survived. Threshold hymn, I hear it in the in-between. Threshold hymn, the song of what it means to have come this far, to have reached the frame at last. Threshold hymn, singing through the past into the present and the possible and more. Threshold hymn, I'm standing at the door, not frozen, not retreating, not turning back to before. Threshold hymn, and I'm moving through the door. I stood at threshold in the rain, in the artificial light, at the edge of major changes and the edges of the night, and something in me always hesitates. One breath, one beat, like the body asking, are you sure this is the street? And I am sure, or close enough to show which is the same. The threshold of the real and the enormous, and the aim of a life that doesn't settle for the comfort of the known. Threshold hymn, the hymn you sing when you've finally grown into the frame, into the size of what you came for, into the person standing at the door. The in-between become the entry into more. Threshold hymn, I know what thresholds are for. Choosing now. Threshold hymn, it doesn't tell you how, it only sings you're here, you made it to the edge. Threshold hymn, now honor every pledge. Every threshold that I've crossed has left a mark on me. Not the crossing, but the standing, the decision to be someone who moves forward when the forward isn't clear. The threshold hymn is not about the other side, it's about the courage of the standing, choosing any way to step. Threshold hymn, I am my voice to everyone who stood here before me, scared and sure and more understood. The song between the chapter and the next one, between the old and what I'm growing toward. I step across, I move toward everything I came this far to find and feel and be. It's finally carrying me through the frame, through the door, through the fear. Threshold hymn, and I am here in the door frame, breathing, choosing, see. I built my defenses out of anything I had, confidence assembled out of mostly looking glad, a posture and a pacing and a tone that said don't worry, I've got this all together and I'm never in a hurry to admit the things beneath the soft and poorly guarded core, the places where the paper armor crinkles at the floor of every interaction, where it costs to hold the shape of someone who's intact from someone who's trying to escape. But paper in the rain is just a different kind of done, and I've been standing in the downpour trying to hold the rod of water off the edges of the front I built in fear, and the paper's getting heavy and the seams are getting clear. Paper armor, I'm tired of holding this together. Paper armor, I can't keep it through the weather of a life that keeps on showing up with more than I can shield. Paper armor, I am ready to reveal what's underneath, what's actually been here all along. Paper armor, it was never really strong, but what's beneath it is what's under all the performance is real. Paper armor. this is how I heal. Funny how the armor that you build to keep things out becomes the prison that keeps you locked inside the doubt. Can't let anyone too close, the paper might get wet. Can't be honest, can't be real, can't drop the posture yet. But I've been wearing this so long I lost the feel of skin, of what it is to let the actual temperature in. The cold of being seen, the warmth of being known. I've been so covered up, I forgot I wasn't stone. Let it soften, let it wet, let it fall apart. This was never meant to be the cover of my heart. What's beneath has been waiting, patient, asking to be met. And I'm finally ready to remove the silhouette. Paper armor, I'm putting you to rest. Paper armor, you kept me from the best of everything that comes from being honestly alive. Paper armor, thank you for the time inside, the shelter of you, the manish and the pledge. Paper armor, but I'm ready to be unarmored and to stand in what I actually am, what's actually real. And here, paper armor down, and I'm not afraid of the air. To every person wearing something similar today, I see the energy it costs to maintain and calculate the surface of a thing that says I'm fine, don't worry, go. I've been exactly where you are, I know the way to show nothing. And I want you to know it's safe to put it down.
Paper armor,
Finally on the floor,
paper armor,
I don't need you anymore. What's beneath me is not ruined, it's not ruined, it's alive. Paper armor was the way I chose to first survive.
paper armor,
Doubted I'm showing up somehow as the actual thing I am, unmanaged and unwound. Paper armor, and beneath it I am found, setting it down, setting it down. What's underneath is enough. There's a map written into my skin I never asked to carry. Every raised line on my surface is a place I had to bury. Something that I loved, or something that I thought defined me. And I hated every marking that the hard years left behind me. But a map without terrain is just a blank and useless page, and the distance that I've covered is the story of my age. 20-something years of navigating by the pain, and I know every landmark, I could walk it all again. Trace the lines, they tell the truth. Every one of them is proof, not of weakness, not of wrong, of a person who held on that long. I am the atlas of every scar I've earned. I am the record of every lesson learned. Don't call it damage, call it where I've been. Don't call it broken, call it what I've seen. Scar atlas, every mark a destination. Scar atlas, built through every devastation. I've traveled every inch of who I am, and I am not ashamed of where I stand. People see the surface and they think they see the story, like the highlight reel of suffering is the full inventory. But between the major landmarks there were thousands of small choices, thousands of mornings when I had to drown the quitting voices. And the days that left no visible mark were the ones that cost the most, the invisible endurance that I'll never fully post. To any wall of feet, a frame that lives where no one looks, and the unmarked pages folded in the back of all my books. Feel the weight of every mile walked, every truth I should have talked, rising now to something more than the person lost before. I am the atlas of every scar I've earned. I am the record of every lesson learned. Don't call it damage, call it where I've been. Don't call it broken, call it what done.